today my purpose is not really to show you how to make dill pickles. It's just taking you along on the process of how I can dill pickles. I'm also not going to share the recipe with you because it's not my recipe, but I will tell you where to get the recipe, and that's in this cookbook. It's called Everything Worth Preserving. It's by Melissa K. Norris. You might recognize that name from another publication called Homestead Living. This cookbook, it's basically a food preservation book. It's the best one that I think I've ever had. Every recipe I make out of it is delicious. I've made dill pickles. I've made her husband's grandmother's mustard relish. It's really good. I've made salsa. The salsa is really, really good. So I highly recommend the book. You can get it at homesteadliving.com in their shop. It's called Everything Worth Preserving. That's where I'm making my dill pickles out of. It's the garlic dill pickles that are in that cookbook. One more note about the cookbook. This is not sponsored in any way, shape, or form. It's just a cookbook that I like and use. Very, very useful, especially right now in my life. You may see things that I could do better. Share with me in the comments. If you have tips for me, I'll take them. I'm not an expert canner. I'm very much a beginner canner. I'm getting better at it as I go, and I enjoy it. So yeah, share any tips you have with me in the comments. I'm always happy to hear them. I like to think that 1/3 of canning is actually canning, and then 2/3 of it is actually washing dishes. So the first thing I like to do is I like to prep all my jars and lids and pans. I get everything washed, and then I stick the jars and the lids in the oven to stay warm while I'm going about the process of prepping and canning and all of that. So until I'm ready for the jars, they sit in the oven at 200 degrees. Anyway, that's where I'm starting. I gotta dig out my jars and get them cleaned up, so let's get going. Usually I have a couple jars because we replace full jars with our empty jars when we're done. Looks like I have one. They're kind of slowing down. They've been eating me out of pickles all summer as I've been canning them. And I like to use wide mouth for pickles. They're easier and better. This canner water in here for a few days, so I think it's time to change it. It's looking a little murky. These have been sitting in salt water, so I gotta rinse them in cold water and just let them drain on the towels. now I'm gonna mix up the brine. I will say about this recipe that if you make these garlic dill pickles, I prefer using Melissa's pickling spice over Ball's pickling spice. She gives both recipes in the cookbook, but I prefer hers because it doesn't have the cinnamon. There's a whole bunch of stuff that it doesn't have, and I just prefer the flavor of the pickles better without that and without all that other extra stuff. In case you make them, try using her pickling spice over the Ball pickling spice. Go ahead and get my water bath canner going. I'm gonna need it soon. I'm gonna get this whisked up. Okay, this is where when I have the smaller cucumbers, I like to leave them whole because I like whole dill pickles. Usually about, well, some of them are that big, about that wide, and then some of them are really small, kind of like gherkins. But these cucumbers are bigger pickling cucumbers. So what I do is I either cut them into spears, which we prefer, or cut them into chunks. And then if we want them on burgers or something later, we can just cut them into smaller pieces. They stay crisper that way rather than slicing them. So I'm gonna cut most of these into spears, and I'll do some chunks so I can top off my jars. say I watch my canning show when I'm canning. It's Mary Tyler Moore. It makes me laugh. It's funny, it's lighthearted, and it's fun to watch. It's something to look forward to while I'm canning. But anyway, I have a lot of leftover brine. I grossly miscalculated how many pickles I would get. I thought I had 12 pounds, but they just didn't. I only got 7 jars, so I thought I'd have 10 to 12. So I'm gonna save the brine and hope that I can get enough cucumbers out of Jacob's garden to use that brine up, and then I'll be done canning pickles for the summer. Yay!
Maybe later, around closing time, if neither of us is involved. Here, seems like a nice place. You come here often? Yeah.
Okay, so now it's cleanup time. I'm just gonna clean up my mess, put everything away, wash dishes, wait on these to can. They have to process for about 20 minutes, and then I will be done. Kitty, 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 kitty. Alright, while I have a chance, I'm going to put all these jars away. I have 2 quarts of pickles and I think 16 pints of mustard relish that I canned the other day. I always like to check the seals and just label them before I put them in the cabinet. Show you how crispy they are. Wow. I need one of those pickle sticks.